All right, guys.
All
So
right.
thank you so much, Ali. Great job. We're very excited about the conference next year, guys. It is in Miami, Florida. So those of you that can attend, we get over like between 300 and 500 people in the last 4 years. So we hope to see you there. But today is a very special day for me because my friend Thiru is here. Um, Thiru has a great knowledge in artificial intelligence, great engineering background as well. I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself, but Thiru is actually one of the coaches that I work with, and he recently joined our team. And I'm excited. I'm excited because he's awesome. He's a lot of fun, and you guys are going to learn a lot for him. So, Thiru, I'm so glad you got your camera working. Awesome. Take it away, Thiru.
Only. Thank you, everyone. It's really nice to be here. This is actually my first user group presentation that I'm doing. Thank you, Regina, for inviting me. Um, so my name is Tiruvuna. Like I work with Regina in the value organization transformation, which includes like the 10 to 11 brands, prepaid brands that this organization manages in Verizon. So I recently joined this organization. Prior to that, I worked in Verizon for 13 years. 13 years working in various roles of solution architecture, network planner. Right prior to that, like I worked in Samsung, producing tablet devices, like really hands-on platform development, delivering the operating systems for the tablet devices, right? And then I also commercialized the first 7-inch and the 10-inch tablets for Verizon itself. And then, I mean, they liked my work and then presented a problem that they are having. I mean, they're having challenges with, right? Verizon. So in the reverse logistics side, they were bleeding a lot of money with all the returns that are coming in, right? So and they wanted to have a mechanism to stop that bleeding of operational expense. So I mean that problem led me to join Verizon, and then from that, and then I took up a solution architecture role, and then now I'm in a transformation role, scale agile transformation role. Okay, that's briefly about me. But Regina, can I go ahead and start my presentation as well?
It's all
Yeah.
you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So when Regina asked me, would you have a topic to present at this group, to this group, then I said, like, would it be good idea to do a AI, right? AI based presentation, because that's been the topic of my interest, and then most of you may also have the similar interest, and that's why I think you are here. And then I have led the hackathons in Verizon in my previous role, which is like a generative AI hackathons that I have run, and then I have trained a lot of people in the prompt engineering, right? So I mean, the journey of like teaching them prompt engineering and then getting up to the speed of what AI, how to become a AI enabled role versus not having AI enabled role, right? I mean, it taught me saying that, okay, if I can teach this across the board, right, in Verizon, that equips them with that AI, which is needed to have that stability in the job and also productivity in the job, right? um, so it kind of helped me to understand this generative AI kind of transformed um, the whole the productivity overall for every job that I have. I mean, I have trained people on, right? So that includes everyone. Everyone uses the language, writes something as an email or documents, or like anything in that space, right? So if you are dealing with a lot of text, right, then basically that this generative AI can help you improve your productivity overall, right, on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so that kind of a eye opener for me, and then the hackathon really helped me to basically train a lot of people across the Verizon. And then when I joined the value organization, I was able to do the same thing, because and then it was helping a lot of people as well, right? So with that intent, like I presented that topic, and then she liked it. So I hope you all would like it as well, and then take something away so that you can utilize it right at your work. Okay, so the today's topic is primarily I titled as a um, agility with the AI, right? So primarily I wanted to basically title this as a productivity with AI or agility with the AI, right? I'm saying agility and the productivity can be synonymously looked at, right? So, but for this presentation, definitely that is. So what I'm going to be doing today is like I'm going to be presenting you prompt engineering or all the critical essential technique that is needed to interface with the language models, right? So I mean it's a conversation, right? When you're interfacing with another person that you need a language, right? So same for LLMs. Interfacing with LLMs is requires a language. What we call it as a prompt, right? So that is the conversation. You give a prompt to LLM, and then the response would be a output that it would process that prompt and then gets you the response that you're looking for. Okay, so that's what prompt engineering, and we would be covering quite a bit of what the prompt engineering is, right? What is prompting, and then jump into the prompt engineering, and then look at a few techniques on the way, right? Of like how would you structure your thought for the model to respond in a more effective way, right? So that's why this concept of prompt engineering is very essential to use these models effectively for your day-to-day job, right? So that's the intent. And then we'll start with the introduction of AI in general, right? To ground us all on the lingo aspect of it. And then we'll jump into generative AI and then the principles involved in using the generative AI, and then basically prompt techniques, right? So we'll go into live demo as well. Like we may be switching in between as well, but I just wanted to go over the introduction and then basically jump into a few agility examples, right, in the agile world, right? How can we use it? Okay. So with that, so primarily I touched upon saying that okay, anybody who deals with the language or English in general, right, writing an email or writing a document or summarizing a document, right, all of this work, right, or expanding on a requirement, all of this work requires a language, right? So if you are doing that in a day to day, right, so basically there is a lot of improvement that you can see by employing these tools, right, generative AI tools. And then there is a lot of studies out there that were done already that was showing like basically task completion time reduced by 50%, right? Like general task completion, right? Using a generative AI. And then in a technical world where the code completion, right? The software code development improved by 67% or more. Actually, some studies say that it is 80%, and some are quoting 90%, depending upon what the kind of the role is. So developers are saying significant benefits with this generative AI, right? So I am using the generative AI and then LLMs in an interchangeable way, right? Generative AI is an application of language models, right? So that you can generate text, right? I mean that's why they're kind of interchangeably I'm using it. Hope you notice the difference. And then the third one is basically boosted the user satisfaction, right? When you're developing the code with the generative AI capability, you're kind of detecting a lot of the code is much more high quality. That way the basically the bugs are less, right? And the user quality is much better, right? User satisfaction is much better. So it boosted the user satisfaction as well, because you're employing these tools there we are kind of eliminating a lot of errors, right? Human errors. And then UX space also saw a significant improvement in the productivity, which is 33%. It is significant compared to other aspects, still less, right? MIT study finds that overall you're employing generative AI, which is ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, right? All of these tools kind of led to improvement of 37% overall jobs in a average way, right? So so I mean that's what it is, like the brainstorming, drafting a text or editing or summarizing it, All of these can be some of the applications that you can utilize with the generative AI. Okay, with that said, a little bit of introduction of generative AI, how it evolved it from a AI space, right? AI is artificial intelligence, so like ability for machines to mimic human intelligence, right? So that's the broad spectrum in the AI. ML is specifically focusing on predictions using data, right? A lot of data, and then then comes into natural language processing. It is NLP is a neural networks based on the like a lot of parameters, right? I mean, basically, it's a network of tokens, right? I mean, basically that these language models use. I mean, sorry, what I'm doing, like, so I'm sorry, a language processing, natural language processing is a machine learning with the text data, right? So that's an NLP. That is the next evolution on top of ML, right? Then comes the deep learning, where the deep learning is based on the neural networks, right? The deep neural networks, it's a kind of a mimicking your brain. That's the kind of application on on top of the ML and NLP, right? So that is where I mean, and then basically comes the long I'm sorry, large language models or small language models, right? Both are based on the NLPs. And then you can see here, I was referring to as a 1 billion plus model parameters, right? Imagine these model parameters can be millions or billions or even close to trillions, right? So that many model parameters are there with this language model, right? What that means is that many opportunities, like parameters that you can configure to have that language model respond to your question, right? So that much of a configurability these language models have in giving you a response that you're looking for, right? So it's a very complex machine. out of all of that out of all of that is we have the general purpose language models, where these are I mean, basically what we are referring to as a Gemini, ChatGPTs, right, or Claude. So they are like a general purpose language models that are out there and on the internet that freely available for you to use, right? I mean, they are trained on the internet knowledge, right? Then into like broad internet knowledge that is freely available. So, and the way basically this models use is like through the concept called a transformer, right? A generative pre-trained transformer, GPT, is like it's a type of large language model, has ability to create a human-like text and the contents like images, music, and more, right? So, and answer questions to in a conversational manner, right? So that's in a broad spectrum that's where we will be focusing on the GPTs, right? I mean, where the generative AI kind of focused around, right? But as you can see, that's the evolution at a high level for you to understand the lingo behind all of these, right? Okay, so, and initially, we started the conversation with the way you interface with the language models is through a prompt, right? So prompt is a construct, right? In which you will input a query to a language model, right? So that's the prompt, right? Once you give that prompt to a language model, it will process that query that you have, like a Google search. You ask for a question, that becomes a prompt to the language model, and then the language model would respond with a text of what the text of output for the question that you asked as an input. Okay, so this is how they would work, language models would work. Okay, so then once prompting, what you touched upon a prompt, and then what is prompting? Prompting is a process of iteratively doing it to improve your output over by making changes to your prompt and then improving it so that like you get the desired output. This process of doing it is iteratively, right? That's where we were referring to as a agility, right? Overall, this is what agile process that you all can connect to, as we are trying to improve the output, right, in a iterative way by adjusting the prompt parameters. Okay, so we touched upon a prompt, and then we touched upon prompting, and then basically what is a prompt engineering, right? Every subject has a wide set of techniques and then practices, right? All of that put together is called a prompt engineering, right? So the process of structuring text, right, is basically prompt engineering. Okay, so since the prompt is a text, right, you're kind of a you have a mechanism of doing it, right? That is what we are covering it as part of the prompt engineering. It is a broad spectrum of techniques, but we are going to be touching upon saying that a few of them, right? Few of them that you should remember, right, for taking the best benefit out of these language models. Okay, so prompt, the process of structuring text to be interpreted and understood by the large language models to perform a specific task, right? That is called prompt engineering. Um, so the relevance is like any organization can benefit from it, right? But generally, that is the definition of a prompt engineering. I just don't want to spend too much time on it. So prompt engineering, which means like the principles, key principles of prompt engineering is when you're thinking about asking a question to LLM, where you're typing up the prompt, right? You should think about few things, right? Which is basically being clarity, giving a specificity, right? That is more important, and then context, additional context of what uh, what information that you would want the model to respond in. Give more context of the question, and then a little bit more context will, I'm sorry, when you're asking a question, give more context to it, right? So that's the context will improve your overall response, right? So do this iteratively, right? So that's what it is, and then basically you give instructions and input data, and then you also specify what output format it is, and then give some examples also when you are asking for it. Okay, so I mean, I'm touching upon these things at a high level for you, but I wanted to jump to a good practical examples for you to like really understand it, so then we can come back and then uh, touch upon the touch upon some of those um, key concepts again, so that like we can remember. Okay, um, so before I jump into an example, right? Anybody wants to talk about like um, are you guys using this technology already? How many of you are like really using this technology already at your work, or generally for your personal use?
Thiru, I've been using it a lot now in my job search and even in creating my resume and practicing.
Resume.
Oh,
What happened? Yeah. Yeah. Great. That's awesome. Anyone else? So, but what is the, I mean, I know that we have agile practitioners here. Like, what's the population is like right here? Like, I mean, uh, can we get some input and saying like your roles primarily as a product owner versus a scrum master or the a product project manager, right? What kind of roles are you playing? Like, and do you mind putting it in a chat? I can like tailor my my demo a little bit around it. Okay, we have a speech coach, Alice. Okay, and then enterprise coach. We have retired. Of course, we can use this technology. TPM role. Okay, delivery director, Scrum and a Scrum master. Awesome, awesome. Enterprise coach. Okay, TPM roles, right? Okay, and project manager, administrator of Jira. Okay, researcher. All right, perfect. Okay, all right. So this is great. So pretty much the examples that I kind of and prepared. Probably you guys gonna be appreciating the value of it. Um, if not, then we can do some specific example you may have, right? So in general, right? I mean, in a software development world, right? So we have a customer, and then we have a, I mean, like, we have a business, and then we have a IT organization, right? So the business basically comprised of business owners, and then IT is comprised of the technical folks like product owners, scrum masters, and then project managers and developers and testers, right? But entire conversation of um, targeting something like improving some functionality of a user comes from a business owners, right? So but usually business comes up with an idea, and then basically that requirement gets translated into a specific requirement for IT folks to implement, right? So that's the usual flow for any software company, right? So with that said, like a primarily business owner, I said a BO here, right? So um, business owner thinks about a nice idea, right? And then basically wanting that to be documented quickly, so that that idea can be passed on to like our IT group, right? But every time that the business owners see does that, like a lot of times what IT is upset about is having business owner not giving enough information, right? Enough details about the requirements. Most of the time it would be one liner. That's what the complaint, right? You can relate to that complaint, right? So but one liner can be expanded it to be a little bit more of a detailed requirement with using this technology, right? So if you are a business owner, you could use this technology, scribble all the ideas that you have in the prompt, and then basically expect an output which is well thought out and well structured. Once you are happy with that output, you can send it to the IT, right? That's where the business owners, right, who are working in the business area can benefit from, right? If you have a rough ideas, scribble all of those things and then format it as a kind of I mean, rough requirements, and then basically give a prompt saying that like, I'm a business owner, right? And then write a user story with a detailed description and acceptance criteria for a requirement below, right? The scribbled requirement could be like this, right? So the requirement that I put here for a federal aviation requirement, right? So aviation requirement which is publicly available. That's why you picked up that requirement, right? Visual flight requirements is FAA, right? So that's what I picked up because it's generally available, so that these general purpose models can really respond to that query, right? If you have logged in into the computer, not those people who are driving, right? If you have a computer and if you're in front of a computer, right, you can basically let me paste this document as well for you guys to play around with it if you wanted to grab the prompts as we play around with it. I pasted the link, so you can copy the prompts to play around with it. Like I mean, for example, today I'm using the Chat GPT. If you have an account, right, you can basically log in just to practice with me, right? Um, so yeah, you can try to do that while I show this prompt, right, for working. So what is the use case is like a business owner comes up with a requirement, scribbles the requirement in this space, and then but what he says is like the prompt on the top is, I'm a business owner. Who is a business owner? The business owner is the I am the business owner. I'm playing the role of a business owner because I'm typing the prompt. So I'm a business owner and I'm telling the um, LLM, write a user story with a detailed description and acceptance criteria for a requirement below, right? So what I'm saying is like I'm saying giving a context, right, to the when I'm basically saying I'm a business owner. I could have said something else too, but I wanted to be specific to the LLM, saying that I'm a business owner. I have, in this context of being a business owner, I want you to write a user story with a detailed description and acceptance criteria. Why you have to do that is because you want the LLMs really expect you to be specific, right? A little bit specific so that context can be built. So That is the importance of it. Like when you're writing a prompt, so you should think about being think about giving it enough context so that the LLMs can respond to your query a lot more better, right? So that's why it is important for you. Okay, so if I said, if I took this requirement, right, I gave the prompt, like whatever you see it in the bolded thing is the prompt, right? A generic prompt that you can keep it. And then the requirement below is whatever the requirement is, right? So that you can type up, like if you're scribbling whatever the requirement is, type it up and then copy the entire thing, right? Copy the entire thing in from here and paste it into your prompt. Up there, right? So wait, I have to go to this one. I kind of played around all of these so that I can show you what the outcomes are, right? Okay, so I kind of pasted the same requirement, and then you see like a beautiful output that ChatGPT was able to give. Say, give it with a title, right? With a title for the user story, and then the description with the additional detail of user story in a user story format, right? So as a I want to show that, right? That's the user story. It got the context that we are asking it to write it in a user story format, and then we also said acceptance criteria, right? So for this kind of a user story, the detailed description is it kind of expanded that requirement into this detailed description, and then went on about expanding the acceptance criteria, right? It kind of gave about six of the acceptance criteria in a very detailed way. How is it able to do it? Because the domain that I asked the question on is a public domain, right? FAA, right? Federal Aviation Administration application, which requirements are publicly available. So these language models know that information because it's they are all trained on a internet knowledge, right? So that's why it has that context, and it was able to give a very specific answer, right? With the details. So that's the beauty about it, right? So start with the context, right? And then basically ask the question in that context, um, gives you a better answer, right? Any questions on that? Are you guys able to play around with this, right? Are you guys able to use the link that I shared? Are you able to access it?
Yes, I was able to access it. I
Okay.
used Copilot. Yours was a lot more extensive than I got,
Ye-
but I did get, I got a great output from it.
Oh, okay. In the from the Copilot.
I used Copilot, yes.
Do you want to share your output?
Excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Share.
Let me I can I can copy and paste it. It's coming, it's coming. Oh, it's too long. The chat says it's too long. You can't put it on the chat.
Okay, that's
I mean, I
fine.
can
Yeah, just
share, I
paste
can
it.
maybe
Just
share
paste it. I think.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You want to share the screen?
I could.
So yeah, I mean, let's basically go through the example that I was going to give, right? And then we can do the sharing session. Yeah.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, I mean, if you instead of giving a one-liner, right? The business owner was able to like generate this beautiful requirement, right? And then if this was the output that IT is going to get it, and then it is basically coming from a business, they will be super happy, right? Don't you agree? Right. So that's a little bit of more work. I mean, a little bit of work, but the output is so grand, right? From a business coming in, right? So and business owner is within the with a very little time that business owner has, he was able to do this or she was able to do this. It's a very productive, right? So that's the measure of a productivity from a business owner perspective, right? That's what you saw. Okay, so take the same requirement, and then I mean business owner hands it over to IT, right? Now is IT, I mean, like in a if you give that same requirement to a developer, would the developer or a tester would be happy, right? I mean, if that requirement as it was given like this with the acceptance criteria, would the developer be a very happy or a product owner be happy, right? This product owner would be happy because this is all well structured thought, and then not more questions will be there from the requirement, right? Product owner will be really happy. But when would be developer or a tester would be happy? If that requirement can be formulated in a little bit more structured way, like for example, if you think about a behavior driven development, or if test driven development, if that the requirements can be structured in a little bit more of a methodical way, where the BDD, like a given when then format, if it was given to a developer or tester, and their life would be a lot easier, because they can copy that requirement and basically generate a test cases out of that requirement itself, right? Their life gets busy, I mean happy, right? I mean easier. So when the life gets easier, right, they'll be happy, right? So in this case, what product owner would have to do, take the requirement from the business owner and then can come up with the um, another prompt, right? So the another prompt could be, right, basically the product. I'm a product owner. Given a user story description, given a user story description uh, in uh, in the user story. All right. So a little bit of correction there. Okay. Your job is like, you are the product owner is formulating this prompt and then basically instructing the LLM. Your job is to enhance the user story and expand the acceptance criteria in a BDD format, right? Whatever the acceptance criteria that the product owner is going to give, expand it to into a BDD format for each acceptance criteria given in the user story, right? So that's the his prompt, right? So this prompt is basically what product owner would have. And then remember that things like which we talked about, uh, the prompt should have, right? You context you have to give, and then give the instructions, right? Give the instructions of what the LLM should do and shouldn't do. All of those instructions you should mention in the prompt itself, right? So that it would do exactly what you asked the prompt to do, LLM to do, right? If you are by default, if you ask a generic question, it is intended to be creative, designed to be creative. So it thinks creatively and gives you an answer. But if you are asking it to respond in a specific way, then you have to give all of this context and requirements, right? The really specific instructions. That's what where you get the more deterministic answer, right? So always, if you get a always creative answer, you wouldn't be happy, right? Not always. But if you are asking the LLM very specific instructions and very specific output that you're looking for, then you have to give this prompt engineering, right? Think about prompt engineering being giving the context and then giving the detailed instructions of what you do want the LLM to do, or you don't want the LLM to do, right? So those are the aspects you have to mention. So what you're asking is, in addition to the prompt above, so you're kind of asking, you will always consider slash n, right, the new line as a new line, right? If you see output has a, like input has a, the the requirements that you are inputting has some new line characters, translate that into a new line is what you're saying, right? So that kind of a formatting also you can mention it. You will always produce the complete acceptance criteria without truncating it, right? So produce a complete acceptance criteria without truncating it, so which means basically you are producing as a one acceptance criteria as one whole thing, right? And then you will always give a final output in a Gherkin format identified as AC1, AC2, like that, right? I mean, so you're also giving example of how the format that you're expecting it to be formulated. You will always give us a consistent output, right? Consistent in the sense like you are asking it to be repeatable. If you ask the first time and then output came in a certain way, and then next time when you ask the same question it is given to give the different answer, it's not going to help, because like you wanted to build upon what you built already, right? You made changes in the previous prompt output, and then basically you wanted to improve on top of it. So that's why the question was like, yeah, coming as a consistent, like a repeatable answer is sometimes you may need it. And then giving an examples. Remember that like we have to give examples of output that you are expecting, right? So like I'm expecting the acceptance criteria with a title, with a number, and then give and then break the given when then into new lines, right, as separate lines rather than coming as a one paragraph, right? So those are the instructions, right? So that's what I'm doing. So when you give that instructions in a product owner prompt and then give that requirement that business owner produced as a story here, right? So and then the output would be in a gherkin format. You see that? So the acceptance criteria one, whether data retrieval, and then the whatever the five requirements, AC1, AC2, AC3, AC4, and AC5, right? Oh, six of them, sorry. Six requirements, acceptance criteria that we got from a business owner. All of that gotten translated into BDD, right? You see that? The power of it. So if a product owner gives this kind of a requirement with the given when then in their acceptance criteria for user story, would the developer and the tester would be happy? They will be really happy, right? So but product owner, did the product owner spend a lot of time doing that? No, right? So basically this is what the efficiency of a product owner could be, right? When you are basically utilizing this technology, your productivity improves, and then your customer, like a developer and tester, would be happier as well because they are getting a much better quality output, like requirements from the product owner, right? And the clarity improves, and then we don't have a lot of going back and forth of clarifying the questions, right? So yeah, so that's the prompt for the product owner. So let's look at it like product owner gets it right now. Look at the a developer, right? When a developer gets it, right, whatever the product owner built on the user story, so he's pretty happy, right? He's pretty happy because everything is well structured, conditions are given, when, then, and all of that are well structured. Now his life is so easy, and then he builds another prompt saying that, okay, I am a Java developer because the application is built in Java. Translate the below user story BDD acceptance criteria into Java unit test cases, right? So so by doing that, and then you paste the whatever the acceptance criteria that the product owner gave you, right, with that prompt, right? This is the prompt that I pasted. I'm a Java developer. Translate the below user story BDD acceptance criteria into Java unit test cases, and then I pasted the six acceptance criteria that I got from a product owner. And then see this, like you got the beautiful Java unit test cases, right? Well structured in a one single file, right? All of these built in like with the headers and everything, and then it writes the functional code, and then also it writes the test unit test wrappers as well, right? How beautiful is this, right? So I mean, this way, I mean, developer can go home faster, tester can go home faster by doing this, right? Their productivity improved, or like they can work on other things um, by context switching to different things, right? So that's where their productivity would increase. Okay. So any questions so far on what I have covered? Are you guys seeing the value of the what I'm touching upon, or is it like pretty much you all know kind of a thing?
No, no,
This
definitely there is a lot of value.
Yeah.
So you are just going to the low level. Absolutely, it adds value.
Okay, great. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate it. Um,
I have something like that, but it's for the project manager.
okay, for a project manager, you have created a project manager prompt.
Yes, and it was beautiful.
Okay, you
I
you
can.
wrote you used the chat GPT to
I did everything in ChatGPT. So if you
okay.
want, I can show you. It's 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. So I think I am kind of done with this use case, right? Once you are done, once you basically share share your outcomes, right? That'll be great. So I think let's give first for what's her name? I forgot. Like maybe
Hedwig?
once she shares, like, yeah, I think she was wanting to show us, right?
Oh, yeah,
What's her
I
name?
put the initial one on the chat.
Maryland's? Yeah.
Yes, I'll
Ah, I
share.
see you did that. Okay, I see.
Yeah, but then I also then expanded it based on
All
what you
right.
showed us, right? At the given one then on the Gherkin format. Let me know when you can see my
Yeah.
screen, team. So I was able to, what I did is I was like, hey, can you give me titles? Can you
Excellent.
give me in Gherkin format?
Yeah.
And when you were showing us the
Yeah.
testing, then I added an additional prompt and say, hey, can you give me like testing criteria for my AC above? And then it gave me the testing.
Excellent. Excellent.
It's pretty cool.
Perfect. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, who wants to project to the project manager? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can
I'm
do the
really not
project.
catching the names. My bad.
Can I share the
Yeah. Yeah, please. Yeah, share your screen, please.
send the requests?
Oh, okay. Regina, can you accept her?
You can share.
Can I
Try to
share?
share again.
Okay.
Rich.
I'll-
Yes.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Yet.
Not it.
Let me try it again. Okay, now. Can you see the screen now?
Yes. Yeah. We could say it. Yeah,
Okay, what I
perfect.
did is from another tool in AI, it's called Otter. Otter
Claude.
is you take the minutes that you have in Zoom, and it's going to create a transcription, right? And then I create a file,
Yeah.
a PDF, right? So I told ChatGPT, say, based on the attached file, please, what are the key issues to handle in this sprint? And then it gave me
Perfect.
a few delivers, right? And then after that, I said, based on the same meeting, what would you be the next steps for each team member? Please give me a table.
Excellent.
Give me a table. Scrum Master, Product Owner, Lead Developer, whatever. And then I said, based
Yeah.
on the same meeting, please help me draft initial user stories. And then
Excellent. Yeah.
it gave me the user story, very organized. And then at the
Yeah.
end, I said, based on this user story, can you please help me to draft the test scenario, right? And then it gave me like a few scenarios. And then at the end,
So
yes, go ahead.
yeah. I mean, what you just demonstrated is, like you just demonstrated the technique of prompt chaining, right? You have one output from a file, right? One output, right? So basically, you gave a prompt and then gave some actions. From
Yes.
that output, you sent it to another prompt.
Yeah, I
That
keep
output, and then
adding.
basically,
Yeah, I keep adding
yeah,
prompts
you
so I
keep
can get.
adding that, translating that format into various outcomes, right? So when you put all of these together, it becomes a prompt chain, right? Chain of prompts, right? So I mean,
Yes. So
I think it's a technique that you just demonstrated.
yeah, it gave me like for example, in this one that I asked in this prompt, it gave me a lot of details, and I said, no, I don't want
Yeah,
detail. I want the list, and they gave me the list. And then at the end, I said, well, now help me expand on user stories. They give me more information. And then the last one, I think, is how else can you help me as my agile coach? I asked ChatGPT, right? For the sprint planning, am I missing anything? It give me more information. So this is more for a project manager. So you have here
Excellent.
like 40% of the job done. So
Yeah, exactly. That is awesome. So, I mean, like some of the things that you could do in those prompts is the output. You can let the prompt LLM to give you any format, right? So you can be specific about like what kind of output that you wanted to have, and then what format you wanted to have. All of that can be given in the instructions, right? So that way, so you're kind of constructing a well-structured prompt. You will always expect that output to be in that structured way, right? And then
yeah,
sometimes what happens is, when you see text like this, people are getting smart about it, saying that, okay, you chat GPT it, right?
yeah,
Yes. I mean, when they see the output, they always, when they can easily connect with that text saying, okay, he just chat GPT'd it, right? So it kind of undermines the work that you have done, right? If it is not with your own brand in it, right? So
yes,
if you wanted to give your own brand to the output that you have, right? So these instructions of structuring the output with the very giving the clear instructions, giving the enough context, and then you can also put your own style in it, right? You can say when you write these models can learn your style, right? Or you wanted to give a style to it, right? A specific writing style that you may have. You always wanted to have that writing style to be in your output, right? That gives your branding into it, right? And then basically you can give a clear instructions of how the output should look like. So that kind of you're giving your branding to it. So the work that you're kind of generating is not ChatGPT, right? So it's kind of like a tailored to your own style, your own tone, right? All of that. So this is comes with like enhancing your prompts by specifying these additional details into it.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Great work, guys. Anyone else wants to share anything? Okay. So, yeah, then let me go back to my window. So let me share. Go back here. See, what we looked at right now is about the capability of LLM generating text, right? You give a prompt and then it generates a text. But LLMs can do many things, right? What it can do? It can do ton of things, right? Um, it can do data processing, right? It can analyze things, right? And it can uh, draw diagrams, right? And then it can break the requirements, right, into detailed requirements, or um, it can also basically create additional documentation, right? Summarization. It can do summarization as well, right? And then do a lot of data processing in the code related stuff, right? So all of these capabilities are available, readily available within these language models, right? Whether it is large or small. Okay. So these are the kind of capabilities that are there. So one of the things that you should basically utilize is the reasoning, right? I mean, remember that thing that I was mentioning about analysis, right? Analysis could be just like a blob of text that you have, and then basically you're asking language model to make sense of this, right? Like the way Dr. Showed us, right? Basically, he has the transcript, and then basically he wanted the LLM to do the analysis of that blob, and then generate the action items and requirements, right? So, I mean, that is kind of a little bit of a reasoning capability being used when you're not asking a LLM to do that. But the reasoning, it has a complex, advanced reasoning capabilities that reasoning it can do for a problem. Like, let's say you give it a problem, right? Ask it to solve it for you, right? So imagine a problem as a scrum master, right? Imagine a problem as a scrum master or a project manager or a leader, whoever, I mean, or whatever the role is, right? But in this example, I am asking the LLM to help me resolve a team conflict, right? I'm a scrum master, but I have a team conflict within the team, right? So team conflict, I just basically mentioned what that conflict is, right? And then I'm asking it to help me handle the situation, right? So I'm asking it to understand the situation and then help me give some ideas, right? While I'm asking that question, I'm also asking, I'm giving some instructions, right? You don't want to be, you don't want the LLM to be so creative, but you wanted it to be creative, but it's more controlled creativeness, right? So controlled way in this, in the sense like you are giving a clear instructions of how the output that you are expecting it. The way you are asking that is, I am a scrum master. Your task is to help resolve a conflict situation in my scrum team. You will use the knowledge of teaching, coaching, mentoring, communication, conflict resolution to provide me with the suggestions on how to resolve the conflict, right? So your suggestions should include basically surveys, talks, interviews, team meetings, games, exercises, or other
So
parties
Dean,
like stakeholders on the line.
real quick, so you're giving it, you're mentioning some of the coaching techniques that you want it to use. That's
Yeah.
really important, right?
Yeah, so you're kind of basically helping
Driving.
the LLM to use those coaching techniques and constructs that you want the language model to use when giving the output, or when after the reasoning it. So the output should consider these things, right?
So you're narrowing it down. You're narrowing it down, right?
What was that, Regina?
You're narrowing it down.
Yeah,
Literally.
you're narrowing it down. So if you don't narrow it down with being specifics and instructions, the LLM by default designed to be creative, right? So you know you don't like the creativeness always, but when you are doing a very specific work, you want more deterministic output, right? So that's why you have to give these details, very specific details, so that the output is more repeatable for you, and then you could utilize on top of it, right? So that's why you need to do this work, and that's why prompt engineer is getting a lot more money, because they know these techniques, right? To work with the LLMs and then get the work done, right? So that's why it's like people are getting ton of money being the prompt engineer, right? So that's why the work of prompt engineer is to write these things in this way, right? So that like the output is always deterministic, and then um, they're able to be productive at their job. Okay, so with that said, right, so I go to that output of that prompt that I just showed it to you guys, right? I just basically pasted that response here, and then I get the full blown guidance of basically from a language model. And then it says, right, handling this conflict situation as a scrum master requires a mix of facilitation, coaching, conflict resolution techniques. The goal is to address the root cause of the both the technical challenges and the interpersonal tensions. Here is the structured approach you can follow, right? It says calm the immediate conflict, and it gives the suggestions on how to do that, and then diagnose the core issues, like basically do some surveys, and then basically do one-on-one interviews, engage the stakeholders, all of the guidance, invite the product owner. And the third is like address the root cause, technical debt and stakeholder pressure, right? So all of that guidance was clearly given step by step, right? So yeah, the whole guidance of how to do that communication, and then collaboration, and then follow up and continue to monitoring. So you see that like um, entire guidance was given. But this is what coaches get paid on, right, to do this kind of coaching. But now this scrum master can reach out to AI to get the help immediately, right? so of course, human coaching is always like helpful, because like you're interfacing in a more human to human approach. But general guidance, right? A general guidance, you can rely on AI for it. Okay. Any questions on this? Is it a technique that you would use? Anyone?
But what type of feedback have you got from stakeholders and the functional managers doing this?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can do this, right? I mean, like basically, primarily you're asking using the LLMs and using the prompting, like, do you think the functional managers would have a value? Is that the question?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
have you have any resilience, to it's a culture change, right?
Can I
So
can I help with that a little bit?
Go
yeah,
ahead,
sure.
Regina.
For example, this is something that perhaps coaches who are doing executive level coaching, when we go and coach leaders, we may share this technique with them. To say, because we're teaching conflict resolution anyways for executive coaches. We're teaching leadership approaches. So
Sure.
perhaps one of the things that we could do is share this tool with them, either to facilitate the workshop or the conversation with them or the one-on-one coaching, or also to show them, hey, you can use some of these tools to prompt your techniques
Yes.
when addressing issues with your employees. So I think for us as coaches, we could use it with the people we coach and then leave
Yes.
it as a tool for the people that we coach. But it's very specific. Like for us, we would be having a conversation on how to solve their problems and how to teach them to use the tool to solve their problems. Do you understand what I mean?
Mhm.
Sure.
So this
And
is
then,
kind of giving
yeah,
you a recommendation, but this recommendation cannot be implemented as is, right? Somebody has to tailor it, right? Tailor it to the situation. It is only giving you guidance, but that the guidance has to be used in a controlled way. Only way to do that is like as a coach or a scrum master, as a team coach, they should tailor that this
yep.
outcome and then see what value. I mean, they should be able to like take the points from this and then structure their own uh, uh, I mean, plan for execution rather than
But
basically
here's the
just
question.
doing it
We
as
have a
is. Yeah.
So here's the question. We have Scrum Masters on the line. How many Scrum Masters have been using this? I know we're talking about backlog refinement and user story writing and epic writing and all that. How many of you have used it for retrospectives or dealing with issues? Can we hear from anybody? Has anybody used it for that? Anybody? Because you guys are leaders. We're all leaders here. Anything other than the technical stuff have we used this for?
I haven't used it yet, Regina, but I definitely will. I didn't really realize that you could get this much out of it. Right. I think I was always of the mindset of, people are gonna think I'm cheating, right? That kind of like,
Yeah.
we're old school in a way. So this is the first time, like I said, I only started using this when I was preparing to get back into the workforce. And now, Thibaut is actually showing us so many other ways you can use this.
Well, that's another class in ethical, right?
Yeah.
But
No,
even
no.
like recently, I went in and I asked a psychological personal question. I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm dealing with something. Let me go ask ChatGPT. Let me see what ChatGPT tells me. And you know what? It actually gave me some decent advice. It wasn't perfect, but it was decent advice, and it was more of a psychological type of question.
That's why I asked that's why I asked the question about the stakeholders, because they
Mhm.
need to get involved. I mean, at the beginning, when I work in the transformation for the AI, the first things I do is try to present or do a presentation, right, about AI and the basic elements of AI. And then when they understand what it is, I said, this is a tool. It's not that it's going to replace your job. If you don't learn it, you're going to lose it.
Mhm.
But what it is what it is, right? But It's like when the PC started 30 years ago. Nobody wants to use it. Now your phone is a PC.
Right.
Can't live
So
with
AI right now is the future is here, and AI is
Mhm.
here to stay. So what I'm saying is you have to learn it step by step, a little bit, and see the way they're teaching today
Mhm.
about AI and get the most of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think like for me, right, as we get into the upcoming years is as an individual, professionally and personally, I think we're all going to be interacting with it more. Like,
Mhm.
Sure.
oh, it helped me here. Oh, can it help me here? Oh, it helped
Yep.
me. Can it help me here? Oh, it helped me here. Can it help me here? And then it's gonna
Mhm.
grow and it's gonna learn. And it's gonna, that's the part where it's gonna be gathering so much information. It's gonna be able to help us with so much. And to your point, like we can't live without our phones. This is gonna be kind of like an assistance, right?
Yep.
That it's
Mhm.
actually gonna make our lives better. I truly believe that, but it's gonna grow. It's gonna
Mhm.
It is like academia. I'm in academia right now, so I'm a researcher. But are you going to tell the student not to do something in ChatGPT? In my case, it's stupid. I mean, you have to tell them, okay, use it, but the best way you can, right?
Mm.
And you have the ethical as a student to do the right thing. I
Right.
mean,
No, here's the thing. The last time I taught it to do a product owner training, and there were actually students from school, from the university, and I'm like, there were
Mhm.
data analytics students, and I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, you're the subject matter expert. So it's
exactly.
your job to look at the output and the results that is
Right.
back and verify and confirm that it's
That's what it
actually
is.
something that
Verify,
is
verify.
true and that we can use and that it truly applies to our interactive situation. So that conflict management thing, as a coach, I would look at it and say, okay, can I really use that with these people?
Mm.
I'm the
Mhm.
one face to face with those people. And I'm like, okay, I know the people. I can give it more data about the people so that it does a better job in giving me advice on how to handle that conflict, right, Theo? Right? And the
Yeah.
more data you give it, the better advice it gives you. But at the end of the day, do I feel comfortable speaking to
Giving
that,
that advice.
facilitating that,
Yep.
implementing that? Because at the end of the day, the human's the one that's gonna be doing until we get robots and then they start doing it for us,
Yeah,
But
but still, who's going to do the robots? The humans.
yeah.
Oh, what I'm saying is there's a lot of ethical issues or ethical matters that we need to fix, but we are on the right track.
I think
Mhm.
Bob, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, it's interesting. That seems like we're dancing around hallucinations, but we're not actually saying anything about it. Is there a reason for that?
Say it again?
It seems like we're dancing around or stepping around the subject of hallucination, but we're not actually addressing it. Is there a reason for that?
Hallucination in what way, Bob?
That's the common name for the wrong information that AI, generative AI, may provide you.
Oh, I
We
see.
have to accept that
Right.
just because you get it from generative AI doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
It will send, because there is a
Right.
lot of false and misinformation out on the web that
Mhm.
it goes through. And the
Mhm.
more of that, if you're in a subject with a lot of misinformation or disinformation, it will
Mhm.
include that in the answer. That is
Right.
a hallucination. Why aren't we talking about this? Is there a reason we're not talking about it
I
in this
think
presentation?
I think from the presenter, he didn't have anything in this subject, but I can tell you, Bob, that you're right about the hallucination and the wrong information that you can get from for example, ChatGPT. But you, as an expert that you're using the tool, you can go back and verify it if it is true or not.
Not
Yep.
could. That's my point. Not could. Should.
Should.
Oh,
It
Right.
you
is
should.
your
Yeah.
professional
It's best practice.
responsibility
Right.
You
to
should.
do it. Not
Well,
should. You not should. You have
you
to
must.
Like
You
as a
must.
professional.
the kids
As
who
a
don't have the knowledge that we do should go verify. Let me just say that.
and as a researcher, I have to say I must. I
Yeah.
must review that.
My point was, it was interesting that it was not brought up. that we're dancing around it and we're not acknowledging.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
the
Yeah.
first thing
So,
I
Bob,
think we should acknowledge.
absolutely, great point, Bob. So the way you can basically reduce the hallucination is being specific about it, right? That's why these techniques of prompting and prompt engineering would help you
Right.
in asking that specific question, and then output that you get generated by the LLM, you have to validate it, right? So without a human validation
Yes.
or fact checking, you cannot like really sell that information that you have, right? So I mean that is where these techniques that I'm showing it to you guys will help in how to structure your thought in a more concrete way, right? And so that like the output is like not so much of hallucination. You're like, I mean, that's what I was referring to as a creativity, that these language models are by default designed to be creative or hallucinate, right? But if you are not specific about it, you're not basically getting the value out of this tool, right? Because it's going to hallucinate, and then output is not what you are like really looking for.
Yep.
So
And
let's
in
Thank
see.
you
addition
for
to that,
Oh,
thank you for recognizing my contribution, and this is a shameless plug for next week. I hope to have a few other insightful things to share.
yeah, Bob is the speaker for next
Excellent.
week, by the
So
way. He's the speaker for
That's
next
what, it's
But
a
Bob,
shameless plug. Now we got it, Bob.
It's
I
no
don't think
shame, but
I'm not below saying that.
by the way, if you guys go to our merchant thing where we're selling our Agile shirts, we have Agile shirts plus quotes from our coaches. And what is Bob's quote that we actually turned into a shirt, Bob? I'll let you say it.
it's
I'm
just
going to
top.
wear it next week. I'm going to wear it next week, so you have to come to find out what it is. Another shameless plug.
Yes, yes.
well
You'll come in,
said.
and then you guys can order Bob's shirt with his famous saying, because he's gonna. I love it. Oh my God, Thiru, thank you so much. For some reason, we
Thank
can't
you.
see you anymore. We're just seeing the
Yeah, I
horizon.
don't know what happened. I was like trying to figure out. I mean, where did my camera, like, why it's not showing me,
Or get rid of your
right?
background. Let me see. Get rid of your background.
I tried that. But still not doing it.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, Ali, I think we got the
Okay.
oh,
Yeah,
there
it's
he
this
is.
now.
There he
Yeah.
is. We got the LinkedIn post, right?
picture.
So guys, any last feedback for Thiru?
Yes,
Thank you so much.
it
Thiru.
is.
Don't go anywhere because Ali's gonna put the link on the chat. Please like it, share with your friends, share with our community. Next week we got Bob talking about quality. And then he's got special things for us. And then Saturdays we got the Agile Coaching Clinic. That is a very special event that we've had since COVID. We got a ton of coaching volunteers. And anybody who wants to volunteer and be a part of Saturdays, please come in. We got people coming from all over. It's open space. It's open topics. Anything you guys want to talk about. But we got great coaches that are providing great advice and doing deep dives into different techniques. So it's pretty interesting. All right, let's see. Oh, Ali just posted in the chat. Thiru, any last word of advice on hallucinations or the future of AI that you want to leave us with?
Verify.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, we kind of scratch the surface, right? So I mean, to the Bob's points and then Doctor's Hendrik's points, right? To reduce the hallucination, you have to employ these techniques, right? So which we haven't really touched upon. There are moral parameters like temperature, top K, top P can be used to configure the LLM to respond in a deterministic way, right? So I mean that we are not able to get time to do that on this call, but if there is an interest, we could do a follow up on those topics if there is an interest.
Very good.
I love it. I love it. We'll do part 2. Tina, is that a high five or a question?
Is a question. So one of the tips to kind of help with the hallucination is when you give the prompt, you ask the LLM, you ask it, do not provide further response until I give you additional instruction.
That's
Mm.
It's always, yeah, when you give, just give it. Do not provide further response until I give you the next instruction. That way you are kind of tailoring what you want it to put, you are kind of tailoring your art, what you expect it to do for you. It's always important, kind of put that break. Don't do anything else until I give you the next set of instruction.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is ask ChatGPT about reference and date.
Oh.
Because
That is
when they do the paragraph, right, you can say, okay, that's fine, but I need reference and date.
That's
quote
great.
it.
If they don't give
Quote
you,
the
if they don't
yeah.
give you
And
any
you want,
article,
and Dr. Hildrich, and you want to make sure that you verify those links. Because
yeah,
sometimes you
yeah,
may get the links
sure.
that are bogus. So
Of course, you need
Check links. And
you need
sometimes the date and reference are wrong. So you can't even go with it.
You have to validate it. Yeah, that's
Yeah, the
why
dates and
human
references
validation
are
is a
wrong.
need. Yeah. Use
Yes.
it as a tool. Don't rely on it 100%. Right.
Yes.
A
Sure.
lot of organizations get excited about the AI and then they invest 100% in it and then remove their employees, most valued employees. They're losing the knowledge base and technical skill within the organization with the premature decisions of replacing humans with relying on AI completely, right? So yeah, that's where the mistakes are happening.
Yes.
I think we should all understand that this is a tool for efficiency. It's not to shortcut
Yeah.
your knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So if you have that
Yeah.
framework, it's definitely going to be useful and get you to be more efficient and effective on the work that you do.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yep. That's well
Thank you
said.
so
Yep.
much. It's a wonderful Wednesday. What is it that Rick always says? You gotta, what is it? You don't gotta get out of here, but you gotta go. Andre, what is
You
it?
don't have to go home, but you got to get out of here.
Exactly. You don't have to go home, but you gotta get out of here. As per Rick Rigera, okay? So I'm quoting Rick Rigera. All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Thiru, thank you so much. Guys, click the link in the chat. Like it.
Yep. You're welcome.
We'll see you all
Thank you. Bye,
Saturday.
everyone.
Thank you, Tiru.
Nice
Thank
presentation.
you, Tiru. Great
Bye.
Great
Bye,
presentation.
everyone.
presentation. Yeah, everyone.